Kids Cleaning and Restoration Services is proud to give WLNI listeners the opportunity to hear from some of the biggest names in the history of the Lynchburg area sports scene, who now get their chance to go one-on-one with Dennis Carter.
On today's one-on-one spotlight, I'm honored to be joined by Lynchburg Hornets former player and head coach Wayne Proffitt. Coach Proffitt, thanks for joining us today.
It's a pleasure being here.
He's the legend. When you look at Lynchburg basketball's record books, you were at the top of the list. Two-time All-American, the school's first All-American, Lynchburg's all-time leading scorer, and winningest men's head coach. Wayne, obviously the school and basketball program mean a lot to you, and they still mean a lot to you.
Sure does. It was the good days that you and I talked about earlier. It was fun playing at Lynchburg College. And I got a lot out of it. I think I did a lot of good for the school.
Oh, you certainly did. In 2018, Lynchburg dedicated the Wayne Proffitt Court at Turner Gymnasium. What was that day like for you, and what do you remember most about it?
Well, it was a big surprise, for one thing, and it was really a humble moment for me. And I just couldn't get over it. And when I found out about it a couple of days before, they had to tell me. So I went home and I told Baylor, "You're not going to believe what's happening." I said, "They're going to name the court after me." She said, "Well, why don't they name the building after you? You live over there." So, but it was pretty humbling, and it was quite an honor too.
How did you find out? Who told you about the honor? And you say you were surprised. I wouldn't think it would be that big of a surprise based on what you did for the college.
Well, I was invited to a breakfast, and it was supposed to have been with Chip Berry and Coach Scott and a couple of other people. And so I walked into the restaurant, and the place was packed. And former students of mine and players of mine and people who played with me. And I said, "What's going on?" They said, "Well, we're just having a breakfast." So we all went and sat down, and so finally Chip got up and said, "The reason we are here is we've decided to name Turner Gym's basketball court after you." And I just said, "What? So from then on, I really was kind of broken up, and I couldn't say a lot to the guys because most of the time I can talk a lot. But that time I didn't have any words. So.
You were at a loss for words?
Yes,
yeah.
Believe it or not. And the boys who played for me said, "We got to tape this because he can't say a word."
Wayne, you played at Lynchburg from 1964 to 67, later coached the Hornets from 1970 until you resigned in 86 to take a business opportunity. What are your fondest memories, first as a player and then as a coach? Which memories kind of stand out for you?
I guess as a player, you're in the game all night, you're playing the game, and the guys I played with at Lynchburg were really good guys to play with. We had great times on the court and off the court, and I played, of course, a lot of the ball games, and very seldom ever came out the game. But it was fun, and we enjoyed the times. We won 3 conference championships in the 3 years that I played. And the first year I played, we played an undefeated team. And because I started a half a year, so I hadn't played against them until the tournament. And we upset them.
What team was that?
UNC Charlotte.
Okay. And
we upset them and won by, I think, 20 points. And it was kind of a good moment for me as a player that came onto the team in the middle of the year.
What about as a coach? What stands out for you, maybe best memories as a head coach of the Hornets?
Well, I guess winning the ODAC championship in '79, and when the young man hit the basket from almost half court to win it for us. We were playing Hampton Sydney, and we were tied, and I was trying to call time out, and he just dribbled up the court and looked at me and shot. So the ball goes in, and that was it. That was quite a moment, and that's one of the good moments that I had. And not only that, but my first 3 years of coaching, we won the Dixie Conference tournament all 3 years.
Wow.
And one of the games that we had, I think the final games we played in Dixie Conference, we were tied with Christopher Newport, and we set the play up, and we ran the play off. We ran off Crawford and then Dwayne Davis, and they were doubled up. So Tom Selger had to throw the ball in, so he throws it into Frank Goff, who is the center. He turns around, fires, and he goes in. Of course, we win the ball game. And after the game, I was talking to the coach from Christopher Newport. He said, of all my days been coaching, I've never seen anyone pull a play like that. I never would have thought it. Of course, just pulled it off. So
yeah.
that was quite a moment too, and those are good moments that jump at you. But from 71 season to 81, 82, we had really good ball clubs, and we were averaging winning 17, 18, 19, 20 games a season, and that was good times too.
You, as a player, were a sharpshooter known by many as Dead-Eye Daddy, a nickname that you still carry today. Who gave you that nickname, and how did it come about? It
was when we were in the Dixie Conference when I started playing, and I think it was Sherwood Newton. He kept calling me the Dead-Eyed Daddy from Dixie, and all of a sudden they picked up on it, and away it went, and it just kind of stuck on it because I had 3 children when I went back to college to play. And that just kind of stuck. And when we would play a game, and after the game, we'd be running around and carrying on, and people say, I can't believe it. He's this age and he's still running around. So,
how old were you when you were playing for Lynchburg?
24, 25, and 26.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot older than most of the guys on the court. Did you feel like that was an advantage for you to be a little older and have a little bit more maturity?
Yeah. It was. I played between the time when I first started to college in 59 and 60, 61. I dropped out of college because Belu and I got married, and I played in the City League, the YMCA League, the Church League, and the County League.
Good day.
Every week.
Mm-hmm.
And I played with General Electric in their league. And, of course, I learned a lot because I played against Kendall White and all those guys who were 5 and 6 years ahead of me in the City League. I learned a lot from them, and I was much better when I went back to college than I was when I went to college, started in college. And I just learned a lot more, and I was a little stronger too. So when I graduated from high school and went to college, I weighed 145. And then when I went back to college, I weighed 160. So, see, I was a lot bigger.
Yeah. Stronger, muscles.
Yeah,
right?
That's it. Yeah.
Listen to some of these records, though, that you hold. All-time leading scorer at Lynchburg, 1,842 points. Most points in a season, 857. Scoring average in a season, 33 points a game. That's amazing. 6 games of 50-plus points. And single-game scoring record, 68 points, February of 1966, and that record stood for 55 years, and that was without the aid of the three-point line. And you almost missed that record when your coach took you out of the game late. Tell us a little bit about what happened that night that you set the record.
Well, I didn't realize it was a record. I just was making everything, enjoying the game, just throwing it up and what's going in. And Coach Moon took me out because we were winning, by quite a score.
Aubrey Moon?
Aubrey Moon.
Okay.
And we were up about 20, 25 points, and he took me out. It was about 4 or 5 minutes to go in the game, and someone came over and told him, said 2 more points and he would break the state scoring record. And Aubrey said, really? So he gets up and goes over and talks to the coach from UNC Charlotte. And he said, I got to put him in and get 2 more points. So when he put me back in the ball game, and the guys was throwing the ball to me, and I didn't realize what they were doing. The coach said, you need to go back in and play a little more. I said, well, no, I'm all right. No, you got to go in. So he'd already told the players, give him the ball. So every time they give it to me, I'd throw it somewhere else because, like I said, I've been scoring a lot. So finally, this guy, Lloyd Smith, said, Wayne, take the shot. So I took the shot and made it. And so they called timeout. And they took me out of the game and they made the announcement. And my son was 3 years old, I think, maybe. Yeah, he was 4, going on 4. And he was there with Betty Lou. And the noise got so loud that she had to take him outside so that he wouldn't start crying.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. And it was in the old gym. It's like being in a shoebox.
Wakefield House?
No.
Or no?
Turner Gym. Memorial Gym.
Memorial Gym. Okay.
The one with the balcony around it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, the old YMCA type gym.
That's pretty wild that your coach went to the other coach and told him why he was reinserting you into the lineup. You don't see that much these days.
No, that's Aubrey Moon for you. The game was out of hand, and he didn't want to run the score up.
Right.
When he put me back in, he had to tell the guy why he was doing it.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now, I've read that the day after you set the new record, you had to go back to work?
Oh, yeah.
Because you were a dad. You had to support your family.
Yes, I did. I had to go to work at Rivermont Esso. A friend of mine owned it, and I worked up there on Sundays and Saturdays if I didn't have to play a game. And then a night a week, I'd work up there a few hours. And he kind of put money in my pocket, but I didn't do a lot of work. I'm telling you. I know nothing about cars.
Your story from high school kind of reminds me of Michael Jordan's story. You were cut from your 8th grade team at EC Glass, and again from the freshman team before the varsity coach overruled that decision and gave you a jersey. First off, do you remember who your coach was back in high school? And did it surprise you when you got the jersey from him?
Well, no, the Coach Brian was a coach.
Okay.
Well, my sister, who was a senior when I was in the 8th grade, was in his homeroom, and she told him, said, my brother is 12 years old. He's coming in the 8th grade. He's a good basketball player, but he's little. So Coach Brian, she said, you better kind of watch for him. So I went out for the freshman team. It was 95 kids going out for 15 slots.
95 kids?
And they had 10 coming back from the year before. So I shot 2 layups, 2 foul shots. My name wasn't on the list the next day to make the team. So I went back to the City League with Billy Webb out at Rivermont. And I played, of course, in the Y League and the Church League. Coach Brian comes down and sees me about halfway through the 8th grade season. And he said, why aren't you playing that glass? He refereed. And I said, well, I got cut. And he said, aren't you Wayne Proffitt, Grace Proffitt's brother? I said, yeah. He said, oh, yeah. He said, we're going to do something about that. I said, no, I want to play now. I'll stick in the City League and playing and all. So I go out again, and somebody's coming in. I went back to the tryouts. I got cut again. So Coach Bryant, he evidently he didn't know at the time. So I was back in the City League and the Y League playing. He was refereeing again. He said, "You can't play in the City League if you're on the freshman team." I said, "Not on the freshman team, but I didn't make it." So he said, "Well, you be coming in my office tomorrow morning." So I went in his office the next day. He said, "You're on the freshman team now." So the coach of that team was Goldstein. And when he put me on the team, he said, "I don't like doing this because you haven't played like with these guys enough to be on the team." And so, wise guy that I am, I said, "Well, you shouldn't have cut me because I'm better than most of them." So he said, "Well, we'll see." So we started playing. So my first game was at Hargrave Military Academy. You know, those were animals down there. So we went down there. He said, I'm not going to start you, but I will play you. So after 3 minutes into the game, he put me in. So I started hitting a couple baskets, and they called timeout, set defenses up, and I just go around and play. So I scored 25, and after the game, he said, you know, you did all right, but we can't have you doing that all the time because it's not fair to the other players. So I said, all right, fine with me. Just if I'm gonna be here, I gotta play. If not, I go to the city league. So he said, no, you'll play. So as the season went on, I played most of the games, and so after about 4 or 5 games, Goldstein left, and Joe Oxendine came in as a coach, and he was a basketball player and a football player, and so he said, you know, you shoot better than any little kid I've ever seen. And he said, you got to shoot more. First time anybody's ever told me to shoot more. So he took over, and after the season was over, Coach Bryant just took me up to the varsity.
And you led the Hilltoppers to a state title in 1959.
Yes.
Named the Virginia Outstanding High School Player. What happened between being cut twice and then making the team, leading your high school team to a state championship, then doing all the great things you did at Lynchburg? Was there a big defining moment for you that you got a lot better in between those years of being cut and then turning it on?
Yeah, well, you know, like I said, I was 12 or 13 when I was in the 8th grade, and I was just beginning to bring the ball up here instead of down here. And then I was the first person at EC Glass that could shoot a jump shot, which is hard to believe.
Wow.
A couple of guys shot little jump shots about 2 inches off the floor. But I got up, you know, about 1.5 feet, 2 feet then. Mm-hmm. And I got way up and I could shoot over top of taller people. So then I began to grow. And finally, all the time that I played, everywhere I played after my sophomore year, I played a lot with people who was older than I was until I got into Lynchburg College, and I was older than they were. So except for 2 of the guys on the team were veterans, mm-hmm. and they were almost the same age I was. So, and the 3 of us were pretty good together. Plus, you know, Harry Coffey would set a pick, I go off of him, he'd knock everybody down and clear the basket for me. So, and that was, it just got better and better, and then I got to be a better shooter and a better player, and you know, I love playing defense because that was what Coach Bryant taught us all the time, and I had good fundamentals. So when I played college ball later, I was even better. And I remember Chuck Mosley, who was a referee at a lot of my basketball games, and when we honored Coach Bryant at Glass, he told Coach Bryant, he said, I've never seen anyone play defense like he played defense. And Coach Bryant told us, don't say that. His head is big enough as it is because I let him score once in a while. So.
Wayne, you're a member of the EC Glass, Lynchburg College, and Lynchburg Sports Halls of Fame. Your 68 points, still the highest single game total at the college level in the state of Virginia. What's it like to still hold that record 55 years after you set that record back in what year was it? 1966. And the record still stands till now.
You know, I don't think a lot about it until someone brings it up. But, you know, people say, well, how many points did you score in that game? And I'd say, oh, of course, Betty would be right. She'd tell us 68. She said, I was there and I was keeping the score. That's why he scored so much. Yeah, I mean, it's not as amazing now as it was then to hit all of the baskets. They got to be 2-point baskets. And I shot a lot of jump shots and way outside, and set shots, and then I take it to the basket. And the night that I scored a lot, you know, I shot 39 times, mm-hmm. and I made 29.
Good day.
And 20 or more of them was probably jump shots, would have been probably outside the three-point
Wow.
range.
So that 68 could have been 80 plus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy cow. Lynchburg two-time All-American, the legend Wayne Proffitt, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I enjoyed it, running my mouth.
Oh, you did great. That's today's one-on-one conversation brought to you by Kids Cleaning and Restoration Services. I'm Dennis Carter.